Hi, third graders. This week we're going to read a story called Boom Town. A boom town is a town that quickly grows because of a lot of people coming to one place in a short amount of time, and they need to create a town as quickly as they can. So on this page here, I have different pictures of what boom towns could look like. Now on this map up here, this is more of the western part of the United States, but you can see here, this is the start of a trail called the Oregon Trail, where people started moving from the middle of the United States toward the western part of the United States. And they traveled this direction because they were looking for gold. And over here, here's a picture of people coming to California during the 1800s in order to look for gold. And then the other pictures are just what boom towns could have looked like. So that's what we're going to read about this week is Boomtown. So we want to read with a purpose this week. We are going to recount this story, Boomtown, using the 5-finger retell, just like we've been working on last week and this week. This week we are reading a story that is a little bit longer than we have been reading. So we're still going to use the 5-finger retell to recount this story at the end of the week, but we're really going to have to pay attention to only the most important events and information in this story. So we may be wondering, what is a boomtown? Well, a boomtown is a place that has a very quick population. That means lots of people came to one place quickly in one time. And economic growth. Well, economic can have anything to do with people making their own businesses, their own shops, their stores, banks, some sort of service that they offer people, some sort of goods that they offer people. So that's what it means by economic growth. And boom towns are usually found in mining towns where an important mineral resource like gold or silver or petroleum has been found. And a lot of people in the 1800s rushed to California because they heard there was gold there. And so there were many boom towns that popped up in California. So your assignment today will be to read the story Boomtown with the purpose of recounting it when we are finished. You're only going to read pages 160 through 171 today, and a lot of those pages have pictures, so that it seems like a lot, but it's not that much. And then Thursday, we're going to finish the rest of the story. After the reading today, you're going to have 5 questions about the characters in the story, the setting, and the problem. So you really need to pay attention to that as you read today. You're going to write your answers to those questions on a piece of paper because on Thursday, you're going to use that same paper to answer some more questions. And then you're going to use all that information to recount the story on Friday. You can read the story with the video that I have here today, or I have also attached a file, a PDF version of it, so that you can read the story that way. However, that version does not have pictures, and we know that we use pictures to help us understand what is going on. So remember, while you're reading, make sure you stop and ask yourself questions to make sure that you're understanding what you're reading. So this is the beginning of our story, Boomtown. Remember, use the illustrations to help you make some predictions or get an idea of what the story is going to be about. So when I'm looking at this picture, I see some houses made of wood. They're close together. There's a little girl here with a pie in her hand. It's kind of looks like it might be in the desert. So maybe this is an example of a story about a boom town in California. So on this page, I see a little bit more of the boom town. It looks like maybe there's some tents or little cabins that people might be living in. And then this is where the story begins. It says, It took us 21 days on the stagecoach to get to California. When we got there, I thought we'd live with Pa in the gold fields. A whole tent city was built up, but Ma shook her head. The gold fields are no place for children. We'll get a cabin and live in town. What town? A stage stop, a pump house, a few log cabins, that was all. It was so wide and lonesome out west, even my shadow ran off. Ma found a cabin big enough for all of us. Baby Betsy, brothers Billy, Joe, Ted, and me, Amanda. Pa came in from the gold fields every Saturday night singing, "So I got me a mule and some mining tools, a shovel and a pick and a pan. But I work all day without no pay. I guess I'm a foolish man." First, Ma made him take a bath in a tin tub set out under the stars. Then Pa sang songs and told stories he'd heard from the miners. Stories about men finding big nuggets and striking it rich. But poor Pa, he had no luck at all. Still, every Monday morning he'd leave for the gold fields full of hope. Days were long and lonely. The hills spread out as far as forever. Nights, me and Ma and my brothers and baby Betsy would sit out and wait for a shooting star to sail across the sky. Once in a while a crow flew by. That's all the excitement there was. My brothers worked up some furrows. They planted corn and potatoes and beans. Then they ran around climbing trees, skinning their knees. But after all the water was fetched and the wash was done, after the soap was made and the fire laid, after the beds were fixed and the floor was swept clean, I'd sit outside our cabin door with baby Betsy, so bored I thought I'd die. I hankered for some pie. I loved to bake pie. I asked Ma and she said pie would be good, but we have no pie pans and no real oven, just the wood stove. How would you bake a pie? I poked around in a big box of stuff found on an old iron skillet. I decided to make a pie crust and pick gooseberries to fill it. Gooseberries grew on the bushes near town. I picked a big pailful and went back home. I made a crust with flour, butter, a little water, and a pinch of salt, and then I rolled it out. Ma came in and said, "Looks good, Amanda. I knew you could make it, but tell me, how will you bake it?" I showed Ma the skillet. She shook her head. "I don't think it will work, but you can try." "It will work," I said. Brothers Billy and Joe and Ted stood there laughing. When the wood turned to coals, I pushed my pie inside the old stove. After a while, I smelled a bad burning. I pulled out my pie, hard as a rock. Billy, Joe, and Ted whooped and slapped their sides. They snatched up my pie and tossed it high into the air. They ran outside and Billy whacked it hard with a stick. Pie pieces flew all over the place, and my brothers bent over laughing. I was so mad I went right back in to make another, and I swore none of them would get a bite. I rolled out my crust and filled it with berries, shoved the pie into the oven, and soon took it out. I set the pie down to cool. I went off to do some mending. Next thing I knew, baby Betsy, just learning to walk, sat there with pie goo all over her face. Too soft, the filling ran down on Betsy, and she wailed like a coyote in the night. It took one more try, but I got it right. That night we ate my gooseberry pie, and it was delicious. When Pa came home from the gold fields on Saturday night, there was a pie for him too. Amanda, you are the queen of the kitchen. Pa scooped me up and whirled me around. I was proud. The next week I made an extra pie for Pa to take with him to the gold fields. Saturday night when he came home singing, coins jangled in his pocket. We all ran out to ask, "Did you strike gold, Pa?" "No," he said, "I sold Amanda's pie. The miners loved it. They paid me 25 cents a slice." After that, Pa took pies to the gold fields every week, and every week he came home with coins in his pockets. Some miners walked right to our door looking for pie. They told Ma, "You should open a bakery." Ma said, "It's my girl Amanda who is the baker. If she wants to make pies, that's fine, but I have no time." Ma had a new baby on the way. It was up to me. I figured I could sell pies to the miners and fill up our money jar. But I needed help. I rounded up my brothers and told them, "If you want to eat pie, you've got to work." They grumbled and groaned, but they knew I meant it. So Billy built me a shelf, Joe made me a sign, Amanda's fine pies, and Ted helped pick berries and sour apples. All right, here are the questions that you're going to need to answer. These questions are also written in the assignment in Schoology, or you can pause the video and write them down. If you need to go back and look at the story, remember I have the copy of the story that you can pull up and read through, or you can just go back into the video and look for the answers. So here's your first question. Who are the main characters so far in the story Boomtown? Your second question, what state was the family moving to? Third question, where was Pa working? Number 4, what problem did Amanda have during the days? And I gave you the page number for this one, page 165, so you can look back on that page to find out the answer. And then number 5, what did Amanda, decide to do to solve her problem? Okay, write down these answers on a piece of paper. Keep them with you because you're going to need them on Thursday, and then you're going to use those again on Friday to recount this story. Good luck, boys and girls.